But I believe that by overwhelming majority, you and I, in the long run, and if it be necessary, you and I will act together to protect, to defend, by every means at our command.
And I saw the most incredible thing that I think I've ever seen in my life. And it had such a profound effect upon my view of the universe and the world that we live in, that I wish everybody could experience this. I saw come up out of the ocean, from beneath the surface of the sea, a huge disc-shaped craft about the size of a Midway-class aircraft carrier, which is tremendous in size. Came up out of the ocean and rose into the air and tumbled on its axis and went up into the clouds, and I was awestruck, dumbstruck. And I mean dumbstruck, literally. I could not utter a sound. And my first impulse was to tell the officer of the deck that I'd seen a flying saucer, and then luckily for me I couldn't talk. So I told the officer of the deck that I'd seen something about 15 degrees off the port bow at a relative distance of about 2.5 nautical miles. And he began to look in that area. And the starboard lookout had heard me tell him this, and he began to look over there. And it did something that, as far as I knew, was absolutely impossible. I'd been in the Air Force. I'd worked on the state-of-the-art of our aviation capabilities. And here I was on the deck of a submarine in the conning tower, and I knew what we had to be able to have to go underwater, and I knew that the two were incompatible. Here's something that came from under the water and flew in the air and performed maneuvers, and then came back down and interfaced with the water at tremendous speed and remained intact, which realistically it never touched the water. The water sort of magically opened up in front of it, but something had to interface with that water. Anything that we had that interfaced with the water in that manner would have been disintegrated. It's like hitting a brick wall. So I was looking at a technology that, as far as our laws of physics and what we knew at that time, didn't exist. This was in 1966. But when we reached Pearl Harbor, we were not allowed to go ashore to go on liberty, even though we didn't have the duty. And about 2 hours after we berthed at the submarine base, a commander from the Office of Naval Intelligence came on board and debriefed each one of us individually in the captain's stateroom. And the ultimate outcome of the debriefing was that we didn't see anything, we didn't hear anything, and we had to read rules and regulations that told us that if we ever talked about what it was that we didn't see, that we could be imprisoned, we could be fined $10,000, we could lose all pay and allowances due or ever to become due. And I learned at that moment that the United States Navy didn't want anybody to know about what we saw, and that severe consequences could come down around the neck of anybody who did.
That's an account from Bill Cooper, author of Behold a Pale Horse, when he witnessed a UFO or USO while in the Navy coming from out of the water. We've all been indoctrinated to believe UFOs are from outer space. What if that outer space is just the water, the deep oceans? We associate UFOs with the word extraterrestrial. Could that just mean more land, etc.? Well, not long ago I broke that word down in a video, and here's that video. So extraterrestrial, obviously you saw the description and meaning that they've stated is extraterrestrial. I've just briefly talked about what other people in the community believe extraterrestrial means: more land. And here's what I've got to say, and when I show you my breakdown, you should go wow, because it emphasizes on what people already believe, and it's in the spells, it's in the spelling. So let's crack on. So let's start with how I've broke it down. EX, X. A lot of people have had them, but the meaning of X is out of, or one that held a specified position or place. So that's talking about a place or something. If you change it from a person to a place or a land, it talks about this very thing is held in a specific place. Wow. Wow. So you're talking about extra land, and we're talking about X means a specified position or place on said map. And remember, all maps are spam. They're all political, they're all religious, and they all have an agenda. I showed you this a long time ago. Maps is an anagram for spam. So you done EX. Now let's go to TRA. So obviously extra, I've just split extra up, and TRA means, now here we go, amid or in the middle of or amongst. So I've just done a video on Mount Meru. That is supposed to be in the middle, and also it's supposed to be amongst. So when people believe in terra infinita or infinite, they are basically saying we're amongst many other lands. Well, extra means a specified place amongst all this. Voila. It's telling you straight there. Isn't that a wow? And what's I finding interesting is I broke it down a few different ways to get two different meanings, but come to the same conclusion. So we've done EX, TRA, extra, but split it in two. We now left with terra. Terra means land or earth, and that also means dry. So dry land or earth. But also, if you shorten it, TER means 3 times. Well, when you look at images for Atlantis, you always see it has 3 rings, 3 islands, or 3 canals. And then also you have the Trinity, 3 faces. So that's intriguing, isn't it? And then if you look more into the etymology, TRA also means across or beyond. So we're talking about a specified, I can't say that word, position or place or land amidst, the middle, or amongst, or across and beyond. That is what extra extra, and then TER means at the minute, so extra land hidden amongst or held in position. Isn't that wow? Just blew me away. So obviously you got that, and then the rest, depending on how you split it up, means to remain, to stand. So all is basically showing you what's going on, what people's theory of more land, whether it's over the ice wall or not, is hidden within the words of extraterrestrial. So let's go to STRI in extraterrestrial, terresti. It means to spread, to show, or to stew, and to cover. And when I read that bit, it just got me thinking. And obviously AL, it means something godly or divine, and that's why I was talking about Elites or Elshites before, because the etymology of Elshites or Elites, as I call it, the other way around. El is something godly or divine, and ites means followers of. So could these people in these ships be classed as elites because they came from this other land? Now, a theory that I've had that you would have seen in a few videos, I've talked about it many times, but also it's not my original theory. A lot of people have thought about this. Well, what if the extraterrestrial weren't coming from extra land outside of our own, but coming from inside and under the water? That to me makes even more sense, especially when I've just read out the etymology. We saw films like The Abyss, you saw films like Aquaman, you saw things like Wakanda Forever. There used to be an old program in the 80s and 90s called Sequest DSV, which was basically submersible vehicles, and it just got me thinking, like The Abyss and like William Cooper's book, Beyond the Pale Horse, where he talks about being in intelligence and seeing vehicles coming in and out of the water. Why did he protect certain locations on the earth? Why is the oceans not being investigated? Is it because there is a race or intelligence living under the water on the old land? Now think about it. Is it Pangaea, where it was all one land, and these people, I call them by another name, precursors. People will call them, is it Adamites or something like that? But pre-curse, before the curse. Now, one of the original curses, I believe, was the Great Flood, which has been documented in a lot of religions. Now, if we lived on a Pangaea and the Great Flood happened and a lot of things were wiped out, a lot of this land would have been put under water. Hence why you do get a lot of submersible vehicles coming out of the water. People have talked about this and why they're not been investigating this land. So look at the etymology. X out of a specified I can't say it, place or position, meaning land. There's the TRA, amid, in the middle, or amongst, or across, or beyond. TER, 3 times, meaning 3 lands, 3 islands, 3 rings, but also terra, meaning land or earth, and that word dry. And rest, remain, to stand, and to spread, to stew, to cover. So could it be talking about these extraterrestrials are from land that they lived on pre-curse? It was land, the Great Flood happened, and all this realm got submerged, and they withdrew to the seas, or had no choice. Think about it. All these old religions talking about gods coming out of the water to teach them tech. You've only got to look at one aspect of Yalos, being Oans or Dagon coming out from the sea and being, like a Lucifer type of figure, or a light bringer, or a Prometheus type of figure, showing them technology. And that was what Oans was originally labelled as, coming out of the water to show people. You had old videos of Stargate SG-1. Remember the episode when Daniel gets tucked beneath the water, they think he's dead, and Oans or Janos basically trying to read his mind to find his lost love. So it's all been shown to us. Whether you believe it is up to you guys and how you interpret the information. When I interpret this information, it's steering me to the land beyond, but below, not beyond, but below the seas. And these are the ancient sea people. It's just, just gets you to think. So if you like my explanation of extraterrestrial being not from over the ice caps or the outer rim, but from below, there could be both, who knows. But I'm just theorising, could extraterrestrial be about all this land hidden below the seas before the precursors, before the original curse? Most civilisations talk about gods or wise men coming from the water. In ancient Mesopotamia, these were called Apakalu. That's my pronunciation. It was believed that the gods created humankind to cultivate the soil and make sure that the gods, by means of sacrifice, would receive their meals. It's said the first peoples didn't grasp their task, so the god sent the Pakalu. They were also known as the seven sages, as teachers. These creatures came to the human world from the sea. That's what is said. The first one of these was Unanna or Ohans, and we know him as I'll not say Janos, supposedly. So these are some of the images that we'll see of an entity coming out the water to teach humans. So this is my grasp on this video, coming out of the water. In Stargate, if you're a fan of that, one of the early episodes, we had the character called Ohans coming out the water. He was interrogating actually one of the characters. Some people say Ohans is actually Dagon, the one in the same. Remember the colours slightly on this one for a bit later, you'll understand why. Now, Ohans showed the people how to read and write and how to do mathematics, but also how to build cities, found temples, make laws, draw borders, divide land, plant seeds and harvest fruit. Ohans also explained to the first humans how the gods had created the world. So you can see the intriguing bit about this video. What I want to do is to emphasize on the water. They came out of the water. What is in the water? So that Apakalu reminded me of something. Now, if any of you are familiar of Android phones, you have a thing called an Android device. It's called APK. And just seems funny that both of these have the basically first three words, Apakalu, APK. Now, as you know, an APK is Android Package Kit. It has another name, but I'll just use that. And it's the file format used to distribute and install apps on the Android operating system. It's quite similar to what an Apakalu. An APK file contains all of a program's code, such as DEX files, resources, assets, certificates, and manifest file. Manifest. It's only one letter away from manifesto. Now, if you look at what a manifesto is, and as I'll put it on the screen now, it's a public declaration of policy and aims, and especially one issued before like an election by a political party or candidate. Now that got me thinking. We have an APK, you can see on the screen, and then obviously I put a Apakalu on the side. They're very much the same thing. Remember, according to history, the Apakalu was sent because the first humans weren't do as they're told, so they sent an APK, an Apakalu, to show humans how to. Basically like a manifesto. Listen, if we teach you this, you have to do this. I just found it very similar. See what you guys think. It isn't hard to find in his story images of UFOs and the weird. Surely they all can't be metaphorical. Surely they can't, guys. And these images were just scratching the surface. There are countless more. So all this talk of water, I wanted to look at some weird anomalies happening in the oceans. Right, so let's start with sound. I must be on a sound kick lately because obviously I did the cymatics video last week, and this is just, you know, come across me while researching for this video, and I wanted to include it in this video. I'm no expert on sound. I'm just going to say what they say it is. I'm going to leave it up for you guys to believe if this is true, but it's intriguing to me. So over the years we've had many strange sounds, most in the oceans and some on land. Remember a few years ago there was sounds all around the world, metallic types of sound like digging, and well, that's not a one-off thing. We've had sound throughout history, and some of these sounds were caught in the oceans. Now that's the intriguing thing, and some of these, as we'll get into it, just make you want to think. And as you know, that's what I love to do on these videos, is to make you guys think and make up your own interpretation. So I'm going to read things out that's, you know, on a few different sites. So I'm flicking through, I'm like screen recording it. I won't show you the screens because it's just back and forwards. So here we go. So over the past 70 years, the world's oceans have emerged as a valuable global listening device. Remember, sound travels faster in water, but also it depends on the density of the water, you know, the temperature, the flow of the currents, etc. So some of these distances that we're going to read out seem to me like really far. So over the 70 years, the oceans has emerged as a valuable global listening device, first by networks of underwater microphones. So all these sounds are recorded by underwater microphones, scanning for enemy submarines during the Cold War, and in recent decades by scientists studying the oceans and the internal structure of the Earth. So one of the most famous and powerful underwater sound events is known as the bloop. So hopefully some of you have heard of it. If not, like me, I didn't hear about this, but you know what I'm like, I'm in a bubble, no pun intended. So it was known as the bloop, and it was recorded by the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, otherwise known as NOAA. And we know who NOAA is in my research anyway, and that's tied to water also. So in 1987, this bloop lasted for about 1 minute and rose in frequency from a low rumble. It was detected by underwater microphones more than 3,000 miles, which is 5,000 kilometers away. and was much louder than the noise made by any known animal. Think about that. Sound travelling 3,000 miles through the oceans picked up by microphones. That's just some doing, isn't it? Now, the rough location of this event that caused the bloop is in the sea near the Antarctic Circle, as they say. And NOAA now thinks, and this is what they think it is now, it took them so long to think this. They've had microphones out there forever, but now, listen to this, guys, it was caused by a massive iceberg carving or splitting for the end of the Antarctic glaciers and falling into the sea. So we've had these microphones forever, since the Cold War or earlier, and it's ice. Oh, it's not like we've got ice there before. This is just what makes me, go, it's fishy. To say it's icebergs after not knowing what it is and not having these devices before. So you can see why it's intriguing. And what's made people intrigued is it's not too far from the location of, if you are familiar with H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu, it was some location not far from where Cthulhu was supposed to have emerged from. So that got people to think it was a big, huge sea creature, or something. It's up to you guys to decide what that is. Now, I'm going to play it for you. I'm not going to play the minute one because I've just found, like the short version. So if you clicks, it's just me clicking on the page to get it on. And there's a few I want to go through. So let's just find the bloop. Where is the bloop? Here we go. 10 seconds worth. I'll play it a few times so you can hear it. And again. And you can hear why they call it the bloop, because it sounds like a a bloop in water. Now, this is off the NOAA website, so it's not me, finding it from weird locations. This is off the actual website. Now, there's another sound called a slowdown sound, and this was recorded May the 19th, 1997, and on the equatorial Pacific Ocean's autonomous descends in frequency over the 7 minutes, but I'm not going to show you that because it doesn't show you for that so long. And it's amplified on 3 sensors and at a range of 2,000 kilometers. The type of signal has not been heard before or since. This is on their own website. It yields a general location far off the west coast of North and South America. The origin sound is unknown. So let's click on the slowdown sound. Just loading the screen. Here we go. And I'll play it a few times again. Now, if you heard that, I'll play it again. It was like, and they say it's not been heard before. Some people could say it's whale sound, but these are supposed to be the professionals. Here we go. Here it is again. Sounds like something taken off, doesn't it? Like driving away. I'll do it again because I've turned the volume up on my screen. There you go, guys, and that's what's classed as the slowdown. Crazy, eh? So let's have a look. Is there any more on here? I can show you different sounds of other things in the ocean just as, a reference. So let me find. This is a small ship and a propeller. So you can just see the difference. I just wanted to show you what you guys think. So that clicking noise is a small ship. Right, let's put a large ship. Where is the file for it? Can't find ship's propellers. Not. Let me find that one. Here's a volcanic tremor. So you can just see that's a small volcanic tremor. And all these are on the NOAA website. Here's an earthquake. This one's 22 seconds long. I just found this was fascinating to just show you different sounds that the ocean make. I'll play that one more time. So it's intriguing, isn't it, guys? There was also, let me just kind of find it. Clicking on got that many websites open here. So we've done the bloop, but there was also several other distinctive underwater sounds have been identified by NOAA. A weird cooing sound dubbed Julia. This say was called by an iceberg running into the seafloor. So it's not named. Yeah, there we go. This is Julia. This is 10 seconds long, but I'll repeat it for you guys. And again. And one more time. That was known as Julia, and that was, where was it filed? That was 1999 on the eastern equatorial Pacific. Again, the most likely source of this sound was formerly known as Julia, is a large iceberg being run aground in Antarctica. That's what they say, and this is on the NOAA website. The last one was known as the train because it sounded like train wheels across a track. The scientists think likely originated in Antarctic's Ross Sea, and a scratchy noise dubbed upsweep, which more likely originated in the Pacific. So I don't know if I can find the upsweep one, but here is the train. This one is 37 seconds long. Here we go, one more time. There you go. I must admit that one does sound like a submersible vehicle. You know what I mean, going under the water. But again, these are just intriguing sounds caught by microphones thousands of miles away, and they're saying that some of these are ice falling into the ocean or hitting land. I'll leave what you guys think, but to me, the point of this video is talking about not UFOs but also USOs, about things happening in the water. We're talking about ancient civilizations living under the ocean. Some of these sounds do sound metallic, some of them do sound like machinery being used under the water, and I'm not here to say it's this or that. I like to leave it up to you guys to come to your own conclusions, and you can check it out for yourself. You only have to type in NOAA, sounds from the oceans, and you'll basically get NOAA's website, and you can go through all of these different sounds for yourself and come on with, basically it's just all the spectrograms and things that it's picking up and the audio devices. I just found it fascinating, and I wanted to include it in this video just to show you some of these sounds that's happening in the ocean, and they don't know what it is, and then now they know what it is, and now they don't know what it is, and it's back and forth. But tell me it's not cool. So we've just looked at a few sounds that's happening in the ocean. It's like they don't have a clue what's going on. So if they've not got a clue what's going on in the oceans, it seems like they don't have a clue what's going on land. Now, currently less than 10%, the figures do fluctuate between in a local, local to where you are. Like for instance, US coastline is a little bit higher in percentage wise, but currently less than 10% of the global oceans is mapped using modern technology like sonar. 10%. And I want to know, why is that so low? Is it because they can't map it, meaning technology wise, or is it they're not allowed to do it from an outside force? Or is it both? Is it down to both? It's intriguing, isn't it? So what intriguing, when I was just looking into this, they state that they want to basically map all the oceans and the ocean floors by 2030. Now a lot of you that date will sound an alarm bell because it sounds familiar. And obviously it's Agenda 2030. So they want to do all the oceans, this Agenda 2030, sustainability and all that malarkey that they're talking about, and they want to do all the oceans mapped completely by 2030. This date, is this something that's going to happen in this date? I mean, we have 100 years of the Vatican in 2029, which is known as the Holy See, obviously Vision See, but etymology wise it is tied to sea in sea. So crazy, isn't it? And that just got me to thinking of islands, phantom islands, ghost islands that have appeared on maps that supposedly were found, corroborated by other people, then looked at again and disappeared over time. We have the Middle Island here, not far from the Shetland Islands, South Shetland Islands, near Deception Island. And something intrigued me, caught my eye. Just off Deception Island is the Hell Gates. So I thought, how far is this away from my Giannis Islands that I found? And obviously it's close, but the green dot is South Shetland Islands and the red dot is Janos Island. So figuratively speaking, not too far away from the Hell Gates. I mean, islands like Bermuda in Mexico just disappeared off maps, and this has been corroborated as being there. Now you could say sea levels, but it's not even under the ocean, it's just disappeared, it's gone, poof. So what other islands have supposedly just disappeared or been a lie? We have the Isle of Demons, not far from Labrador in Newfoundland, Canada way, supposedly where demons roam, and a few other myths surrounding that. Another famous one is High Brazil, just off Ireland. So all these islands have appeared on maps. They're either lying, or they were on maps, or error. How many errors can multiple ships do to recognise that they existed? We had Friesland, another one that's appeared on maps and disappeared on maps. It's back, it's gone, it's back, it's gone. We had Sandy Island, appeared on maps, then disappeared off maps. Then we had a ship called Nimrod, going out the South Pacific Ocean, you know, in between Australia and, is it South Africa there, finding these island chains and calling them Nimrod after his ship. Now, a few years later, another ship, coincidentally called Nimrod, this time by Captain J.K. Davis, said, no, Nimrod Island does not exist. Neither does the Emerald Island, what was also found by the same guy and corroborated by other ships in other dates saying, yeah, it is there. This guy went out, could not find it. So that we had Nimrod Islands, nope, gone. Emerald Islands, gone. Another island in that line, Doherty Island, also gone. Does not exist. How many of these captains were stoned, drunk? Well, there must have been. Surely you can recognise an island, and not just by one sailor. You could say mirage. But, you know, how many mirages can the same person see? We then had Brendan the Navigator, his island, St. Brendan. He's a navigator. He's one famous monk. Surely he knew the island was there to be named after him. Who knows? But it was intriguing. And it's like I've always said, all maps are spam. Anagram of maps means spam, and we know what spam means. Not just the food, but in regard to, you know, spamming people. Just seems funny that all these navigators, all these maps had all these islands. 1 minute the islands are there, 1 minute they're disappearing without a trace. Do these islands ever actually exist? Is it all human error? Or is it, like I've always said, there is an agenda by people mapping? So we can't rely 100% on maps, even though they're intriguing and I love looking at maps. We can't put your faith in a map because all maps are spam. They're all lies. That's just my take on it. So you got to think, you know, they can't even map the oceans. They can't even map on the oceans and on land. Just what is going on? What is in the water? What is in the Kool-Aid? So I want to give a big shout out to Greg if he's watching. Thank you for being the inspiration for this video. The reason he's the inspiration for this video is because I was talking about Genoa on social media, and he asked me, do you remember the war that happened? And obviously there were at war with the Venetians, etc., and a lot of other, you know, areas and countries. But he said no, the bombardment, the war in the bay, and it was like, here we go, here's an image, and it's like it was UFOs, and I never heard of this, and this was in 1608, and obviously I'm talking about USOs or UFOs in regard to water, and could they live in the oceans or outside the ice wall, because obviously I've covered that in the extraterrestrial video, and I'm going to talk about something else in that. So he's the inspiration. He was the one who originally showed me the link between Noah and Janos being one and the same, and the first shipbuilders. What ship did these people build? So that's what's the intriguing thing. So this is just an image of 1608 in Genoa, and the army was shooting cannons at them. And I want to get into it. I'm going to read in, you know, some stuff off sites, but you've also seen coloured pictures coming up now. They are a little bit blurry, but they're really, really small thumbnails, and I still wanted to show you them because it showed you the colours of the mist and the ships. So I'm going to get into it now. I'm not going to show you the first one because advertisements keep popping up, and you know, it's just annoying to read. So I'm going to read the first one out, and then the second one I will actually show, and I'll talk to links and different things. So the first one is talking about how on the evening of 5th of August 1608, 3 luminous craft were seen by the town residents of Bailly d'Angers or Angers in Nice, France. So this happened to a lot of coastal towns in the area. This is what's intriguing. Are they all talking porkies, lies, or did something actually happen? Remember, they came from the water to teach us new tech, new ideas. And this is why, you know, it's just intriguing me. So the craft were long, oval in shape, and flattened along the lengths, each with a strange mast on top of them. The bay waters begin to froth underneath them, giving off a dense orange vapour accompanied by a loud, unpleasant noise. From one of the craft, 2 vaguely human-looking beings appeared. They were described as being dressed in red clothes, covered with silvery scales, with huge heads and luminous eyes. So that's why I wanted to tell you to remember about Dagon scales, how they drew them in that image, red and greens and different things, and why I put, the Nautilus in the intro, because I'm talking about people in submersible scuba gear, and it was telling them how to attach to the craft. Even it sounded a bit like the guy in Aquaman, when he rejigged the Atlantis armor. So they had huge heads and luminous eyes, 2 creatures holding cables or tubes attached to the craft, jumping into the water, and moved about their ship for about 2 hours. When they returned inside the object, all 3 left at a high rate of speed. Later that month, on the 22nd of August, the craft reappeared further south in Genoa, Italy, where they were greeted with cannonballs that were fired at them. None of the creatures or aliens emerged, and no one damaged and observed the craft. The people panicked, and several deaths were reported as a result of trampling by the terrified people, overcome with fear. I want to do a spell etymology. A lot of you who follow me on social media would already know this, but the etymology of what I found on aliens, it just blows me away and ties everything together. So finally, the 3 objects left. French described the aliens, described the airships, noise, effects on the water, and Italians even shoot at them, and that was sourced from MUFON. But the original source was from some old magazine or paper called Discours des Terribles et Appuntavatables Signe Apparisli Merdigenes, or something like that. I can't pronounce it, but it's easily found. You just type in UFOs Genoa 1608 and you will find loads of it. Right, so the bit I will actually show you on screen, and this is not mine, this is from studylib.net, and it says Albert Rosales 1000 BC to 2007 humanoid reports. And again, this is location France, so I've already told you this, but I'm still going to read it out because it gives a little bit more detail. 3 luminous craft visited the sky over the location. Much to the dismay of the citizens, they watched the objects race errantly around for some time. When they suddenly stopped and hovered a few feet above the water, the craft were long, oval in shape, and flattened along their lengths, each with a strange mast sitting on the top of them. The bay waters began to froth underneath them, giving off a dense orange vapour, accompanied by a loud, unpleasant noise. From one of the craft, 2 vaguely human-looking beings appeared. They were described as being dressed in red clothes, covered with silvery scales, with huge heads and luminous eyes. Sounds just like, like scuba gear, advanced scuba gear. 2 creatures holding cables or tubes attached to the craft jumped into the water and moved about their ship for around 2 hours. When they returned inside the object, all 3 left at a high rate of speed, leaving the terrified residents of Nice wondering what omen from God could possibly mean. So that was in Nice in 1608. So if I scribe down, location Genoa, Italy, date 22nd of August. Time unknown. Locals reportedly saw a bizarre creature emerging from the sea right off the coast. It was described as a human-shaped figure covered in scales and with what appeared to be snakes protruding from its hands. Cannon fire was directed towards the creature without any apparent effect. Around the same time off the coast of Nice, the Tortoise in France, fishermen saw an object that descended towards the sea. A blood-like substance was seen to drop from the object. Others saw 3 vessels moving at high speed above the city. The 3 vessels then approached the local fortress and descended to the water, causing a great boiling of the sea and emitting an ochre red vapour. To the great stupor of those present, 2 humanoid beings with large heads and large luminous eyes, dressed in red, scaly combination outfits, emerged from the vessels. These humanoids appeared to be connected to the vessels by a long tube. The humanoids spent several hours involved in strange work around their vessels. Meanwhile, soldiers in the fortress shot cannon at the intruders without any apparent effect. And this is easily found if you type in 1608 Genoa. And this is the 25th of August in Marseille. 3 days later, a single vessel appeared near Marseille over the fishing village of Martigues, and again displayed the same erratic flight manoeuvres that had been displayed over Nice. It stopped in midair and two beings got out, appearing to engage in an aerial duel of some kind. The following week there was a heavy fall of red rain, and in the months and churches were packed with worshippers begging to be spared whatever disastrous fate that was about to befall them. While accounts of these events are sometimes ambiguously worded, it is remarkable that so many people in three separate locations could imagine such strange occurrences at a time when no flying machines existed. So there's just the main reason, and there's loads. Do you know what I mean? And you can find loads of stuff on this site, but the reason that I have included this is because it was in the same location and it was inspiration from Greg. He showed me the general one, and when I quickly looked, I found in that same period it happened in three locations and all regarding the water. So I found that very, very fascinating. I'm going to read some more out now about something totally different, but connected it in a way just to show you examples. So I want to quickly go over this. It's just an example. Obviously there's that many I could have used, so don't be going, oh, there's this. It's just an example. As I was researching this, it came up, so I thought I'm going to use it. And this talks about a UFO in 1665, the air battle of Stralsund. And it talks about in April 1665, 6 fishermen witnessed an unexplained celestial phenomenon, an aerial battle in the skies above the Baltic Sea near Stralsund. And as evening broke, a dark grey disc appeared high above the city centre, and it just goes in, they're talking about, their thing. And it just, what made me take notice of it is because they said Baltic Sea near Stralsund, and I think it's about 500 miles or something like that. The Baltic Sea anomaly, whether you believe it to be whatever, is still an anomaly and an intriguing thing to look at and theorise to what it is. So it seems funny that this happened in 1665 and in the same stretch of water, although long, 400 or 500 miles or whatever, this phenomenon is there. I just thought, could there be any connection? So this talks about an expedition into the world of unfamiliar world of images like this. So I'm just gonna go down to where they're talking about it. It says everything here is centered around one of the most spectacular celestial phenomena of the modern era. At 2 p.m. on April the 8th, 1665, which if you add the 1 to the 5 at the end is 666. 6 fishermen who are fishing for herring off the coast of Stralsund, Stralsund watch on as great flocks of birds in the sky morph into warships and engage in thunderous air battle. The decks teem with ghostly figures. When at dusk a flat round shape like plate appears above St. Nicholas Church, they flee. The following day they found that they are trembling all over and complain of pain. And he's going to the media spread this news like wildfire, with the publishers of various leaflets and newspapers locked in fierce competition with each other to concoct the most colourful versions and interpretations of this event. So we do have mass hysteria, but we don't know what these people see. So it's easy for us to say they didn't see this, they were on drugs, they were drinking, they were drunk. We just don't know. And as I say to you all the time, guys, treat everything as information. That way you can just, eat it up, drink it up, and, give an opinion on what you believe. So it says it was religious convictions, particularly that we were most responsible for determining how the event was transformed by the media. The general public could not have known that what had actually been witnessed was an atmospheric reflection of a sea battle that was raging just beyond the horizon. So they're saying that there was a sea battle going on, and basically that is what they're seeing. Is that is that what happened? Who knows? But to see it in the sky, was it on the horizon? They don't give details. They just say the sky. Was it the horizon? The fishermen are going to know about the horizon, etc., and things like this, surely. I'm just surmising. So they're saying it's an atmospheric reflection of the sea battle that was raging just beyond the horizon. Instead, they were convinced that the universe was ruled by God, who had the power to project visions of impending disaster into the sky. The Ur battle was likewise perceived as prodigium, Latin for omen or portent. So that's just why I wanted to visually show you. And when I was looking on the site, this is not actually the event. It's different events happening in certain times. This was on one of the images. It's not that one. Obviously, a flying disc. This talks about ships in the sky having a battle, so that could be it that we were talking about. That seems on the horizon, but it's this one that actually caught my eye. Hopefully it didn't. It keeps on. You can see design of a floating saucer, illustration for Gaspar Schott, Technica Curiosa, Nuremberg, Würzburg, 1664. So that was a design for a floating saucer. Now, this guy Gaspar Schott was actually a Jesuit, so that's just a little bit more information. So this is in 1664. So I just want to include that, and I just want to show you why I'm talking along these lines about submersibles and different things now, guys. It's so funny when we're looking at different topics that when I seem to be making a video, and I've been on this video for quite a bit because I've made other things in the meantime, but you see friends on social media posting about the topic that you're talking about. It's like the synchronicity of this, it's just crazy. I mean, I've had loads of friends doing posts on water and submersible vehicles, and what I'm going to talk about now also under the water is diving bells. I mean, the one of the most famous was Alexander the Great, and Aristotle was talking in Problemata. He tells the tale of Alexander the Great at the siege of Tyre in 332 BC. He ordered divers to destroy any submarine defences the city might undertake to build. While in none of these records does it actually say that he had any kind of submersible vehicle, legend has it that he descended in a device which kept its occupants dry and emitted light. So, like a diving bell of sorts. He was lowered in a diving bell, also noted in Roman 12th century of Alexandria, which in iambic lines of 6 feet or 12 syllables of verse, hence the term Alexandrine, relates the tale of Alexander had built a very fine barrel made entirely of white glass. So that would have been some sort, scene to look at in this age, which was towed out to sea and lowered into the water. In the Alexandria version, 2 companions accompanied Alexander and were all stunned by what they saw by the bright light emanating from the diving machine. Alexander is quoted as observing from what he had seen underwater that the world is damned and lost. The large and powerful fish devoured a small fry. Another story regarding Alexander underwater adventures was published in 1886 in France at the age of 11. Nothing in that. Alexander entered a glass case reinforced by metal bands and had himself lowered into the sea by a chain over 600 feet long in a diving bell. You're talking in that time. So if he had this tech then, why didn't he not develop even more? And I'm going to come up with a little thing on this in a sec that may shed some light on it. And also, you've had tales of people swimming long distances, and as we know, there's images of people wearing or looking like ancient scuba gear. Here's one, and this was by Herodotus. He said the Persians had with them a man named Cilias, a native of Sion, which was the most expert diver of his day. At the time of the shipwreck of Mount Pelion, he had recovered for the Persians a great part of what they lost, and at the same time he had taken care to obtain for himself a good share of the treasure. He had for some time wanted to go over to the Greeks, but no good opportunity had offered till now. When the Persians were making the muster of their ships, in what way he contrived to reach the Greeks, I am not able to say for certain, and this marvel is people just think it's a tale. It's said that he dived into the Aphete and did not come up to the surface till he reached Artemisium, a distance of nearly 80 furlongs, which is 15 kilometers. And they're basically asking how can this be true? And obviously we're talking about people in ancient scuba diving gear. Did this guy have scuba gear? so he didn't need to come to the surface and escape from the Persians. It's just an idea. But what's intriguing is, again, more evidence of tech, and this is in ancient times with diving bells, the early form of submersible vehicles. Just intriguing, isn't it? Right guys, so what I'm going to show now is just an opinion that I've had. As you know, on this channel I'm very open-minded. A lot of other channels don't like me being open-minded because they want to control you, they want to control me. And I don't mind if you believe in UFOs, I don't mind if you believe they are extraterrestrials from over the ice wall or under the ocean. It's all cool with me. You know what I mean? I don't get triggered by the sense of if someone says I believe in this, I champion it. As you know guys, I'm so open-minded. So I'm just going off the premise that obviously in Genoa and in 1608, 3 UFOs or USOs, obviously submersible vehicles, came, did the thing moored in the bay, in the port, and got shot at. So it got me thinking. That was in 1608, and we talk about how this advanced tech gets to the mainstream after X amount of years. Everyone can agree, you know what I mean? Army use it first, etc, etc, and then it filters into the community to be, you know, into objects that we buy, like phones, you know, like GPS. And yes, I know about satelloons, guys. Before anyone gets triggered and wants to send, there's no such thing as satellite. It's amazing. It's amazing how you have to say something and then have to contradict yourself or add something straight away because people get triggered. And I don't do that as much now, but unfortunately now every now and again it does creep in. So if it's re-engineered gear, this is what I found, and to me it's too much of a coincidence. So 1608, he talks about UFOs or USOs, submersible objects or vehicle, you know, underwater, and what happened in this period. So we had 1608, German-Dutch spectacle maker Hans Lippershey invents the first refracting telescope. So not really anything to do with submersible vehicles or UFOs, correct? We can move on. Now look at the next one. 1620, Dutch builder Cornelius Drebbel invents the earliest human-powered submarine. When I saw that, the alarm bells or the intriguing intuition, whatever you want to call it, the little tinglies, the back of my neck just went, wow. We're talking 1608. These people came into Genoa, Nice, and throughout Europe on the coastline in what could be talked about as submarines or underwater submersible objects or UFOs coming out of the water. It's up to you guys. But to me, that cannot be a coincidence that in 1620, Drebbel invents the earliest known human-powered submarine. There was earlier powered ones a few years before that, so you can just see me alarm bells. There's one talk of Charlemagne being witness to 2 brothers in a submersible vehicle, but it didn't go completely under the water. There's talk of, you know, so many different ones, but I'm just going off the so-called science. So we had Cornelius Drebbel invents the earliest human-powered submarine in 1620. That to me is too close a time period for something that's happening like a submarine or a vehicle that can operate in both waters above and waters below, to me to ignore. So I just wanted to use that as an example, guys. You know, is it just more re-engineering of ancient civilizations tech? You know, they're thinking, oh god, the sheep are off again, we have to advance them, let them have some tech that is like a submarine of sorts, so they can come visit us in the deep oceans. Just a thought. Again, I leave it open to you guys. Right guys, what I'm going to show you now is more spiritual in essence. It's not about UFOs, USOs or submarines. It's more spiritual, and you'll see why. And if I'm not doing my job right in the sense of making content that you guys, you know, can see my perspectives on things, this just absolutely made my mouth drop and go, wow. And it's huge. But because it's little old me is going to say it, it gets ignored by the masses. Apart from you flockers, and you'll see why I'm laughing to myself when I'm saying flockers, because as you can see on the screen, there's a Bible verse there, and I could use loads, but isn't it funny that this one in particular talks about us being sheep? You are my sheep. The object, you are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, and I am your God. Ezekiel 34:31. Oh, let's add that. 3 and 4, 7, 7 and 3 is 10, and 1 is 11. Wow. Another use of the number 11. And this is talking about you, we, or you are the sheep. It's saying you are the sheep of my pasture. I am your God. Now, the Apocalypse, remember, was sent out from the gods, or the gods themselves, because the sheep, us, weren't doing our jobs correctly of doing the agriculture, toiling the land, and we were stupid. Basically, we weren't learning. We didn't get the so-called deal. We were put here to give them sacrifices and food. We are the sheep, right? We can all agree on that. But what I found, it's like, really, did I find this? It just blew me away. So we're talking about water, correct? And the water covers majority of this realm, 70 odd %. And these gods, these Apocalypse, came from the water, so they are water themselves. I've done many videos on memories and atmospheric memory. If you've not saw that, guys, and you're new to the channel, just scroll down and look for atmospheric memory, about memories in the sky, which is basically the oceans above. So this video is talking about water, something in the water. Well, these Apocalypse are supposedly these wise people were sent from the oceans. They appeared from the oceans. Now look at the word water, W-A-T-E-R, water. Now I saw this and thought, you know what, I'm gonna anagram it. So I anagram water, and near enough the top word I got was Ewart, E-W-A-R-T. Now what you might think is, so what? Wait till you hear the definition of what this is, and if this doesn't make you go, what there's something wrong. So, you are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, I am your God. So the people on land are the ocean's sheep. Anagram water, I got Ewart, and basically it comes from French form of Edward, but occupational name for Middle English, Eward or you herd keeper of the sheep. What the fuck? So water anagrammed into E-W-A-R-T, and that word is a herd keeper of the sheep. Huh. You are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture. I am your God. Wow. Wow, wow. So the anagram made Ewart, and they are a herd keeper of the sheep. I'll put it on the screen. Ewes were kept for their milk, which was cheese was made. The name also has survived as Howard. Ewes, obviously the young sheep. E-W-E-S, ewes. You are my sheep. Y-O-U is E-W-E-S, ewes. Ewes? We are ewes. I'm just blown away, guys, about this. The anagram of water talks about how they are herd keepers of the sheep. Wow. That just blew me away, and that to me is so significant and in your face. See what you think about that, because I'm so excited. I'm bouncing all over the place here. Well, what I've just found. Wow. So something come to me, guys, while I was reading that last bit out, and if I'm thinking it, I'm guaranteed most of you are thinking it. So obviously yous are also a female or older sheep. And it talked about sacrifice, didn't it? But it just got to me, and this is way out there, so, don't hold it against me. But every female, and I know they're trying to change that, but all females, one time in their life, bled once a month. It's like a sacrifice. Did they used to drink this blood? So obviously thinking along those lines, then I automatically got to thinking of adrenochrome and the use of, child sacrifice and child kidnapping. Why there's so many children missing? Are they drinking young blood? I was just thinking that, and I know you guys for a fact would have been thinking that when I was reading out the milk. Remember, ewes were kept for their milk, and from which cheese was made. And when you think of cheese, I automatically think of you're taking a photograph and you going, say cheese, and you smiling, you're putting yourself up there, like up for sale. And what do all social medias need, and where's it that they can follow you and photograph it to unlock your phone and all that? You have to do a picture, like your avatar. So you have to say cheese. And obviously when we're talking of young children, a word that's similar to use is youths. So that's why I was just thinking along this line, is this milk that they're talking about not from milk from sheep or cows, but the milk which is the adrenochrome, the youth, which they used to drink or still drink, you know what I mean? So you can just see what I was thinking at and why I've included this little bit, because it was going in my head. Is this part of the sacrifice? Is this part of the drinking the milk, say cheese, where it's all about the selfie era, making videos of yourself, etc. It just seems to me what this is going on. It's like a ritual, a sacrifice. They can just come and pick you from your facial expressions. You're using your pictures online. It's just something I'm thinking out, and see what you guys think of it. But that was a little data bit, but that it came to me while I was just talking about what is this milk. Could the milk be adrenochrome? Right, guys. It's What the Flock TV on the TV. Woo woo. So what I'm doing now, I'm just basically saying, it saves me typing it in and doing a little jigging thing. I did some videos on water memory, atmospheric memory 6 months ago, maybe. I don't know how long ago it is. And I just found, because I'm talking about water today, some of the clips hold true to what I'm talking about, and raise your your levels of going, there's something about this. And especially with water now, when I'm talking about how the Apocalypse or the gods, whatever you want to call them, came from the water, just got me thinking about water in us. Is that how we are easily more controlled? Because water contains memory. Are they able to infiltrate those memories in the water, or put them into us like a possession? Water possession. You know what I mean? It's like when they're interrogating, they use waterboarding as a method. Just there's something where it just raises your levels of going, something's not right here. And it just got me thinking about this. We're talking about demon possession and things like this, and demon etymology is genius. Well, how you're smart. And if we connect and we download thoughts and memories and ideas from the cloud or the atmospheric memory or the case they could catch it records, are they able to infiltrate us and possess us through those memories? Hence why we are so much water. Did we not need water, or are we just sheep? You know what I mean? So I'm a black sheep. I'll say it now. So here's that clip, and it's coming right up. Hopefully you've not saw it. If you have, you forgot, and it just raises your levels of Right, guys. So I want to finish off with a few things that'll raise your eyebrows. It's wow. Now, everything is stored in the library. People will call it the Akashic or the Akashic records or the Akashic records. Now, I've talked about water, memory, thoughts, consciousness, everything. Now, in the libraries, in most libraries around the world, use a Dewey Decimal Classification. Now, what intrigued me about this was, I saw it straight away. Let's just give it the initials DDC. Well, D equals 4, so you have 2 4s, and a C is 3. Gives you an 11. This 11 pops up everywhere. Now, people will say out there who are nice trolls. Hello, nice trolls, by the way. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Everything adds to 11. You go and have a look. Everything does not add to 11. So, so it's one of those things. They'll be out there now trying to prove me wrong. But what's funny is that the earth is covered in water. Now, some places will give a guesstimate. It will actually say between 70 and 75, but you'll get a few out there will stick their necks out and actually give it a total of 74% of the earth's surface is water. Now, what's 7 add 4, guys? Yeah, it's 11 again. Now, people will call it a coincidence. I don't. It's the realm of 11 again. The watery planet. 74% of the Earth's surface is known to be covered with water. Water is very good for holding memory. Anything that comes in contact, it holds it, it stores it. That is why everything is water. It's why we are water. Because of the memories. And obviously what it's good at. But look at this. Now, water is mentioned a total of 722 times in the Bible. 7 add 2 is, yep, you got it, 11. More often than faith, hope, prayer and worship in the Bible. It doesn't take long for water to be mentioned, as I said at the beginning. Right away in Genesis 1:1-2, the earth was formless void, remember, OID, and darkness covered to the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters, which is the breath or the spirits, and many people will call it different things. Water is such an essential component to life. It was created on the very first day, because it's memories, it's our consciousness, it's our soul, it's where everything is stored, it's a hard drive. Now, this blew me away, this video, and this is only a part 2. I'm going to keep going, not necessarily video after video, but you can see my pointers. Everything is stored in the library. People would call it the Akashic or the Akashic records, but I go a little bit more and talk about how water is influential in this process. And you can see it, and people can access the memories at will. Some people, like I said in the last video, can use and access other people's memories, or get memories that's not essentially theirs, in a sense of a different reality. If you believe in that, if there's a different reality, there is a different you with different memories, and at specific points you took left and this reality took right, and so on. So you can see how influential water is, not only to life but to religion, memories, and the essential upkeep of this realm. So, I want to talk a little bit more on something I've found, but I want to start with this. Baptism, mainly done as a child. Why? You haven't done any sins. Are they going to say you're sucking on the mother's breast too long as a sin? I just don't know. But baptism is a Christian sacrament of initiation and adoption, almost invariably with the use of water. It may be performed by sprinkling or pouring water on the head, or by immersing in water either partially or completely, traditionally 3 times, 1 for each person of the Trinity. Janos is the Trinity. Janos is Christian. Christ, Ion. Ion is Ionos. Christ, Janos. You're baptizing in the Christian Christ Janos sacrament, and he's also the god of initiation. Wow! And his oldest name is Ea, Enki, god of water and wisdom. Oh, water again. So they're using the water on the forehead, the head. The 11, remember the 11 lines when you get older. People keep telling me this, they're looking at everyone's now. I've been doing the same, I must admit. So it's just intriguing that all this is traced back to you know who, and then when you start to look at it even more great detail, you see it. I mean, I know in some faiths they do baptize later on in life, in adulthood, older children, and you may have done some sins by then, and that would account for it. Yeah, you're washing away your sins. but not as a child. It's initiation ceremony, and who's the god of that? And they are water. They are the gods of water. I've showed you they are the sheep herders. So we getting initiated into the herd. I mean, you even talking about maritime law, god of the, law of the sea. Who's the first shipbuilder? Janos. Again, connected all the way through. It just blows me away when we just step back and look at things a little bit different. And now we're looking at water, maybe not as something as the giver of life. Maybe it's been initiated into us that it is life because it's from them. So guys, obviously we're talking about water. And it just got me thinking. I started to think of what else could I find that's intriguing me. So I started to think of water, and I naturally came to tides. An analogy of tides is linked to religion. It's like faith. Sometimes you will have it, and sometimes it'll recede and you'll lose faith, whether it's in a person, a god, a situation, but it comes and goes, and it can be influenced by outside sources. But as you can see, a tide comes in and out, and I was just looking at that in regard to faith and religion, and then I came to it and thought, you know what, I'll just do what I normally do. Let's anagram it. So I anagrammed tides. So Tides, tides. And I was shocked. Again, like the sheep herder, this is crazy. It really is crazy. And it's tied to religion, and, well, of sorts. So it's spelt deist or deist. Or deist, that's D-E-I-S-T. So tides, anagrammed into D-E-I-S-T, deist. And definition of deist, if you type it in, is a person who believes that God created the universe and then abandoned it and left it to run itself. And people of three thinkers, types of non-religious people, a person who does not manifest devotion to a deity. So they are what a deist is. And I'm going to read out a few of the core beliefs now, see what you guys think. So obviously they believed in a higher superpower, supreme being, belief in an afterlife. They reject revelations as source of religious evidence, orientated towards scientific fact and natural observation rather than scripture. So it sounds a bit like Scientology, but before them, a little bit to me. But here's the core beliefs. A belief in a single creator, as I've said, the order and complexity of nature and the universe make God self-evident. God's full nature is incomprehensible due to the limitations of the human mind and language. God gave humanity reason and co-science so that we can develop our own moral and ethical principles. Human beings should be free to find, know and worship God in their own way. All views of God should be respected so as long as they do not cause harm or oppress the views of others, and all human beings are created equal under God within the same natural rights. Now, there's some of the core beliefs that I've read out, and I just found it funny that how did I get that from tides? It's crazy because it's talking about water in regard to tides and your faith in religion and in life, and that comes from tides, the anagram. Now I'm going to read out a few of the famous deists, and I was shocked, to be honest. I didn't know all these people were deists, but we learn something new every day, don't we, guys? Right. So here's a list of deists. Now they say it's a partial list, and I can't say this is 100% correct because obviously it's Wikipedia and anyone can change anything, but they do a good job. So I'm going to read them out and you will be surprised. Hopefully I'll try not butcher the names, because you know what I'm like. But here we go. So this is a partial list of people who have been categorized as deists. The belief in a deity based on natural religion, only belief in religious truths discovered through a process of reasoning independent of any revelation through scripture and prophets. They have been selected for their influence on deism or for notability in other areas. So there might not be deists. I can't say 100%, so bear with me, but it reads to their core beliefs? And if so, wow. So you had, before 1700, you had another one, Anagoras, pre-Socratic Greek philosopher. Al-Mahari was a blind Arab philosopher, poet and writer, and a controversial Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci, again, I don't need to read that one out, but Leonardo da Vinci is very famous. Edward Herbert, first Baronet of Cherbury, British soldier, diplomat, historian. Gottfried Leibniz, German mathematician and philosopher. He's best known for developing infinitesimal calculus independently of Isaac Newton. Matthew Tyndall, controversial English author whose works were influential on Enlightenment thinking. Voltaire, French Enlightenment writer and philosopher. So again, if anyone's got a bee in the bonnet with this, I'm just reading it out. I'm not saying these are guys who are in it 100%, because I know what some people will be saying. William Hogarth, English painter, pioneer cartoonist. Colin Maclaren, Scottish mathematician who made important contributions to geometry and algebra. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Emile du Châtelet, French mathematician, physicist and author during the Age of Enlightenment. His crowning achievement is considered to be translation and commentary on Isaac Newton's work, Principia Mathematica. Mikhail Lomonosov, Russian polymath, scientist and writer. He was among the discoveries was the atmosphere of Venus, natural science, chemistry. As you can see that what we're getting at with these people who were supposedly deists. Jean-Ron d'Alembert, French mathematician, Mecanian, physicist, philosopher, music theorist. Adam Smith, James Hutton. I'm just reading them out as I'm going because it's the first time I've looked here. Gotthold Ephraim Lessing, German writer, philosopher, publicist and art critic. Moses Mendelssohn, German philosopher. George Washington, American soldier, statesman and founding father. James Watt, Scottish inventor, mechanical engineer, whose improvements to the Newcomen steam engine, and obviously in the Industrial Revolution is both his native Great Britain and the rest of the world. Thomas Paine, English pamphleteer, revolutionary radical inventor and intellectual, and one of the founding fathers of the United States. So there's two or three. Oh, there we go. Thomas Jefferson, American founding father. So you're going to have secret societies and you're going to have deists. Crazy, isn't it? Jean Baptiste Lamarck, French naturalist. He was a soldier, biologist, academic, and an early prominent of the idea that evolution occurred and proceeded in accordance with natural laws. Johann Adam Weishaupt, Bavarian philosopher and founder of the Illuminati. I thought it rang the bell. Was a deist. James Madison, father of the United States Constitution, one of the founding fathers. Oh wow, another deist. James Monroe, founding father of the United States and fifth president of the United States. Friedrich Schiller, German poet, philosopher. Maximilian Robespierre, French revolutionist. Elihu Palmer, American author and advocate of deism. Carl Friedrich Gauss, German mathematician and physical scientist who contributed significantly to many fields, including number theory, statistics, analysis, and so on. Humphrey Davy, Charles Lyell. So this is crazy. Victor Hugo, William Lloyd Garrison, Lysander Spooner, Henrik Vergeland, Abraham Lincoln, Jules Verne. Wow, Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Wow. And I've just included some of them images, for that film. That is crazy. Wow. Dmitry Mendeleev, Russian chemist and inventor. He's been credited with being the creator of the first version of the periodic table. Simon Newcomb, Mark Twain, Alfred Mayer, Charles Sanders Peirce, Ludwig Boltzmann, statistical mechanics and statistical thermodynamics, Thomas Alva Edison. Wow, this just gets wow. Mark Planck, Jose Rizal, Ernest Rutherford, Max Born, Hermann Weyl, Wolfgang Pauli, Luis Walter Alvarez, Martin Gardner, Anthony Flew, Walter Cohn, and so on. Neil Armstrong, wow, astronaut, wow. So we're talking about people, and we're talking about how the astronauts go in space, which is underwater, as we know. Oh, this is crazy. Just look at the names, guys. Wow. So I just thought that was very, very intriguing, guys. So I anagrammed tides because I was thinking about water, and I tied it to faith, because it comes and goes, and and it's not a religion of sorts, but it's tied to, what I mean, when I'm coming up with this. It's crazy, and this just again blew me away, and again it's linked to water. Right, guys, when we in reality and in life we always hear we've got to keep hydrated, and we see it, don't we? Especially when you're doing sports, gym or anything like that, you're always told you need to keep hydrated, especially in life and the older you get. So it just got me thinking, hydrate. I know it's not actually water, but it's tied to water, and I'll show you something that's just blew me away. When you think of these things, it just gets you like, wow, I didn't think of that. So hydrate, noun, plural, hydrates, a compound, typically a crystalline one, in which water molecules are chemically bound to another compound or element. Verb, hydrate, third persons, hydrates, etc. And it caused to absorb water, a powerful moisturizer that hydrates the skin for up to 12 hours. That's just an example. Combined chemically with water molecules, hydrate silicate crystals. Origin, Huda water. So you can see why I have put this in, because it's tied to water. Etymology of it is from water. Right, so not long ago in the community there was a lot of these images getting passed around, and I'll put a few on screen now even though I'm doing this, and you can see what it was called. Right, so what was that called? What was this called? I'll give you a few seconds. So there you go. No, so what it was is, this was what's known as Hydra. Wait, Paul, but hydrate contains Hydra and TE on the end. So if you take the TE, it's Hydra, water. And we're talking about this Hydra in something that we're not allowed to say on PooTube, and because it'll get you taken down. So it was in that, and also nanoparticles, nanotech. There's even a Janus nanoparticle. Again, I've showed you before in videos. I'll show you on screen again. So it just made me go, So we have this element that they're talking about, the Hydra, in about all these things about changing us and etc. And they keep pushing us to get hydrated. Obviously, Hydra comes from Huda, water. We know it's also the ancient Greek beast, but also these particles that I can't say for 100% were found. I saw the videos that they were found in certain things. Again, we can't prove this. You can just use the information. So it's funny when we get promoted again to hydrate, and it contains Hydra. Now, the TE is actually, what's intriguing about that is tellurium, but it's all that comes from the word tellus, meaning earth or terra. And what's intriguing is it's taking you, when I'm talking about us being sheep on land, herding, and they're herding us, the Elites herding us for the gods of the water. it's telling us we have to keep hydrated on Earth with Hydra. Intriguing, isn't it? Especially when Janos's mum or mother, one name for it is obviously Tellus, which is in Latin for TE, and Terra Mater, also Terra Earth. And TE is also like the seventh note in that solfege or solfeggio. So he's talking about music and frequencies again. This is just so weird, guys. I mean, how long have we talked about to each other and different things and in life about you need to keep hydrated, and it only contains Hydra, and then obviously that it's telling Hydra TE for people on Earth. It's intriguing, isn't it? Let's see what you think about that one, guys, but that blew me away. I'm going to go into my thoughts in a minute because I just found that too fascinating not to include for you guys in this. Also, and I can't put this, TE means obviously what I went in, but in Latin TE means you. A common Latin phrase used in hymns and prayers is Te Deum Laudamus, which means we praise thee, O God. We also use the word TE to talk about an element of philosophical Taoism or Taoism, to refer to a certain soul. So we also got it linking to you, Hydra, you. Stick the Hydra in you. Now, this Hydra, which, as you know, if you type into Hydra, they say this thing, I don't know what you want to call it, that lives in water is immortal. Is this one way they control us or change things in us? Again, leave it up to you. I just found that so fascinating to not include, guys. Right, guys, so I want to finish with this before my thoughts, because we've been here all day. It feels like that in a good way, and I've showed this many times before, but I just want to show you how everything is linked to a certain entity that I research. And we're talking about the seas. We've obviously talked about the sky a bit, where where UFOs or USOs have been seen also. I've talked about other lands in my etymology. What gets me, so the people in charge of this are NOAA, NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Well, NOAA is Janos. That's one of his old names, the first ship builder. And we're talking about something in the water, the shipbuilders, the Romans, and all the other sea peoples and seafaring nations of antiquity. So it's intriguing, isn't it, that it's named after that, and these are people who are doing the mapping and all this palaver and malarkey. But what was funny was, in my memories on social media, this popped up literally today, and I had to include it because I thought how the irony of this. So I've talked about all this in the video, and obviously Janos and sound and acoustics, and look what pops up. And this was from a few years ago. NATO unveils Janos' first standardised acoustic protocol for undersea systems. And it's an aquatic robot, so busier than ever. They have seabeds to mine, cable pathways to plough, marine data to gather, but they and the aquatic brethren, including submarines and scuba divers, all struggle to communicate. And they're going to be using the standardised acoustic protocol for all undersea systems, will be called Janos. Just a coincidence, Paul. Just another one that I've shown over the years that gets passed on and ignored because of the topic. Guys, this is so in your face. It's showing you there's something in the water, and they are who are in charge. And I'll talk about this in my thoughts. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a long one, but some people do like the long ones. Oh my god, that just didn't sound right. I'm going to scrap this and go to my thoughts before I say something just wrong. But you can see NOAA in charge of all the oceans and atmospheric on this realm, and then under the seas they're using Janos, and it's going to be standardised through NATO. Can't get any more in your face than that.
Yeah, they call me the black sheep. You know they call me the black sheep.
Hello and welcome to What the Flock TV. Right guys, as usual, thank you for the love, the support, all the comments. Really do appreciate it, and the people who have bought me a coffee, please, thank you. No, it's really appreciated and needed, and thank you for that. I can't say any words, there's no words I can say, there's no spells. So let's get on to the video. Something is in the water, and I'm not singing that Tom Grennan song. You know, I wish I had that voice. That would have been good intro, singing it in. But I've been on a sound frequency thing for a while now, and this was bringing it all together. And I have to thank Greg from social media. He was the one who inspired it, made me look at this, and then things fell into place. So thank you so much, Greg. And obviously what he sent to me was, Paul, did you know about Genoa and the war and the cannons and the attacks? I went, yeah, I know about the wars. And he said, no, the UFOs. And obviously a lot of people believe in UFOs. A lot of people believe the unidentified flying objects are something else. They don't believe in space as what we have all been brought up into believing. And that got me thinking, because I've done a video on extraterrestrial, meaning land outside of the ice wall, but also covered and under the sea. So that got me to thinking, a lot of these UFOs or USOs, whatever term you want to use, generally are found in the ocean or come out of the ocean. And I always remember, as I said a few weeks ago, that Bill Cooper's comment in his book, and I included in it here, that when he was in the Navy or in intelligence, he saw one came out of the ocean. Then it always reminds me a bit of the Abyss, and obviously the controlling of what they did. And that just got me thinking, could these gods get labelled God? Anyone with advanced tech would be labelled as gods, and would they be in the oceans, in the deep oceans, or outside the land? Is the entrances to the deep oceans? And my glasses, I sat on my glasses the other day and I don't know how we did it, I'm the cockeyed, so I'll have to get them fixed. It just gets you thinking. And then all of the things that I've found and videos that I've done on the realm of L11 are taking things to a different degree. I'm like you guys, hopefully, when I'm sick of seeing the same things being shown in the community. I want to progress things. I mean, I got the name the Black Sheep Researcher for being different in the community. How can I get ridiculed, called for being different in the community who are ostracized as it is? But that was the inspiration I needed to start a channel and think, you know what, these people are using all my research, not all, but you know what I mean, I'm just using my research to progress, and they're getting paid for it. Some of these big YouTubers use my content and don't give me the you know we got it from here, we got it from there, because they don't like to. They want to make themselves intelligent. I'm no intelligent more than anyone. I'm just myself. I'm just the black sheep. I'm just What the Flock TV. So that's what made me get into making videos, in the sense of people were using my information and making themselves, yeah, look at this, and it's like, well, that's my, I don't mind people doing that unless you show, I've got it from here. The inspiration was here, like I was saying about Greg. He inspired me to research and look at this topic. I've had people just use my full videos and just put their thing over the top. I'm like, that looks familiar. And it's just strange, well, look, we do this. You know what I mean? We just ask. We've all done little bits, when we're new to it. You know what I mean? You don't realise, and then you start looking into things, and this is how we are. We just have to stem together, stick together, and there's nothing wrong saying that's great information and then using it as inspiration like this. I'd never have looked into this if it wasn't for Greg saying, hey, look at these UFOs. And when I looked into it, 1608, looked at the description on how it was, finding out that it happened to 3 people, 3 other towns on the French Riviera and the Italian Riviera, Liguria, you know, the etymology, if you split Liguria down, etymology wise, in Latin it comes out as Tartaria. You know what I mean? And that's why I did the video, you know, the remnants of Tartaria being Janos, Oans, Dagon, these people in this video, which we're all looking for who were them, and they came from the sea, they came from these ancient places. Were these places under the ocean before the Great Flood, or was that Pangaea, and Pangaea was flooded, and so that meaning these people in the oceans, you know, have always been there, and all this etymology, it just got me exciting, and I'm jumping around, and I'm like, wow, it just made things a lot clearer. And this, again, it's not facts, don't, you know, believe what I've said. This is my journey, and this is what I found, and it's helped me in my path to clarify a lot of things. I mean, everyone's thought of these things before. Certain things in the video you might have not done, but on the whole. So we're talking about these UFOs come in, and there was 3 of them, you know, and I'm like, wow, could they be misinterpreted as UFOs? Could they have been submarines and or things that can hover over water? And I'm like, 1608, and then I looked at science and Drebel. There's been other submersible things and diving bells and things, and I'm like, 1608, and then the first, they say science wise, submersible vehicle with men, 1620. I'm like, that's so close. And we always talk about how it's re-engineered tech from advanced races. Is this what happened from that period? Whatever they used then was used to re-engineer this new submarines, and they've gone from there, because obviously the Apokaloos, the 7 sages from the 7 seas, I was always brought up with the 7 seas, came onto land, like Prometheus brought the fire, or you know what I mean, Lucifer the light bringer, is light knowledge, information, and they brought, because, you know, we was knuckle draggling, fighting, who knows what we were doing on land, something they didn't agree with. Were we not giving them the sacrifices? You know, when you watch all these old films on Clash of the Titans, it talks about when we don't worship the gods, their strength wanes, so they fight back. Was there something like that happening? But the idea that these Apokaloos were sent to the people, the sheep, to show them what to do right for this, what's the word now? It's just gone out of my head. So they sent the Apokaloos to teach us do things right. You know, if we show manifesto, if this is my manifesto, and if you do this, you know, we'll give you this, and this is what happened. And then did it create archons? You know, like the arch was, like, you know, more prominent families. Did that stem the Elites? Elites is followers of El. That's the same as she people, a term that we, not me, but in whole the community used to derogorize normal people, sheep people, because they don't see. They're sheep people. Sheep, L-E, turn it round, L. Sheep of El. Just like the Elites, and we are the sheep. And if it wasn't for Greg giving the impotence, is that it? Or there's impotent, which I'm not. But the other one, see what I mean? When I try and use long words, it doesn't work, Paul. Stick to what you know best. And oh god, I've got the giggles now, because I've got the images in my head. So, did they send these out, you know, every now and again, send them out of the ocean to teach with these offshoots? Who knows? There's no way of knowing, because all history is what it is. It's his door. It's a door. It's a doorway. And when they bring the information, they come through the door from the oceans, the transition from sea to land. They put in religion in the sense of the holy sea. Holy sea. But holy sea. Current sea. Current. Maritime law. Why is it all this? And I've been telling people for years, the reason maritime law, all this, is because of Janos, the first shipbuilder. Owens, EA, Enki, all them. They're gone. They're all the same entity because they came from the oceans. Now, they were called Apakaloos from the Seven Sages, Seven Seas, because obviously that's what I was always brought up with. And if you've got an Android device, either a box or a phone, you know what a PK is. An Android application package, and it contains manifestos, data, the codes, resources, assets, and you just click on it and it sets it all up for you. Remember my old video showing data? Remember the memes? We are all data going around the circuit board through arches, transistors, and NOT gates and AND gates. It's something I've showed again for years. Anagram of data is da'at, where everything on the Sedifot joins. It's knowledge. It's the spark. And that intrigues me. So that's what an APK is. And I thought, wow, it just sounds like them Apakaloos coming, with their gifts. But it comes at a cost. And these are saying, we want our sacrifices. The milk of the sheep. And that got me thinking, is that milk of the sheep adrenochrome, the blood? Because a lot of people have done blood libels over the years, from antiquity all the way up, the Elites, and are they collecting the resource of this? Is that why all the children are going missing? Because they are the youths. I know ewes is an older sheep, but it sounds like youth. Are they collecting the blood of the young as a sacrifice to give to the Apakaloos, the gods of the ocean? And that just hit me hard, and it just makes sense, because why have we not investigated the oceans? Why? Is it because it can't, because of the pressure, or is it because they are there and they don't want us in the ocean? These are just ideas to ponder on. And when everything is connected to water, water is life. We've always brought up water is life. They control us, cities, towns, from your access to water. Where you have access to water, you know what I mean? People are always looking for these ancient civilizations and master builders. Is it these people from the oceans building, showing them? And obviously they've not come because they've left us to it. A bit like the deist or deist, however you want to pronounce it, and left the Elites in charge. It's scary thinking that this what could have happened. And again, it's just what ifs and theorising it. But when you anagram, I mean, who bloody anagrams water? Me. I anagrammed water and got Ewart, which means sheep herder. So these Apakaloos, these people that came from the water, and this is throughout history, every civilization will have a tale of gods coming from the water. And they are the sheep herders. We are the sheep on land, cultivating the land, toiling the soil, giving them worship through sacrifice. And they don't like us being and fighting back by not doing what they say. And this is why we need more people to fight back. We need them to go against the grain. Look at the saying, it going against the grain from growing the crops. And this is surely what we do, and that's why I say, come on guys. Yes, you don't get on with A, B and C, but if you can put that energy into making content that can open someone's eyes in regard to, being, some people say it's, when did you wake up? You know what I mean? It's a case of we never really truly wake up because we're always asleep, we're always controlled, and we need more of us, to wake each other and keep each other awake, because sometimes we do fall asleep, we do fall in the ruts. I mean, come on, water anagrams into you at sheep herder, and then you have that verse, you are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture. What did he call people who there's reverend, but there's also pastors? You are the sheep of my pasture, and I am your God. Ezekiel 34:31, Acts 2:11. A gateway. They're telling you that's important because they give it the 11. You are my sheep of my pasture. The Paklu said we were put on land. Were we made by them or just controlled again? And these are the things that we talk about in this video. People are always talking about religion being controlled opposition, the Bible being a combination of lies. No one knows for real. I can get an information from a book, it says yes it is. Get an information from a book and it says no it's not. Look on the interwebs, all the information. That's why I always say it's just information. We have to use it and try not get triggered. But when you anagram water and it shows you in that spell, the spell, water is memories. And then we're talking about enlightenment. Is enlightenment through the water for memories? Is it them passing the information to us? We want that people to, when the Apakalu want us to be more enlightened. And you get to think, is that right? Or am I just seeing things that's not there? But I'm progressing. I'm moving in directions to look at these things. Water means sheep herder. Anagram, that's a wow. That's a wow for the video, personally. So they sending the Pakaloos out, and then we have Drebble making the submarine. Is that an account of them crashing, or these are Pakaloos giving that information to Genoa or any other village? I think Drebble was from Netherlands, sounds like Netherworld, the lowlands, and he was there. And then you're talking about these people, the deists. The deists are part of it, because look how many founding fathers. And that anagram's from tides. Again, water coming back and forward, like knowledge, like faith, and how we feel in this reality. Sometimes we feel good and I'm strong, and some days later we're feeling it because the negativity is attacking us, the evil. That to me, just when you start adding these things together, and there's loads that I'd have missed because, like I said, I'm normal, I'm human. And then you look at the word, they're promoting you to keep yourself hydrated, and it contains the word hydra. And then people in the community are talking about these nanofibers and things that's found in what we're not allowed to say because PewTube took us down. Hydra. Hydrate. Water. Water is life. Is that a mechanism to control us? Possession. Did we need water? Why is it as we get older your water levels go down? You are dehydrating. Is that tied to knowledge and wisdom? I just don't know. And on the whole, you're supposed to age and get older and get more wiser because you've experienced life and you know things. It's not always the case as anomalies like anything, but the water levels drop. Is that the case of the possession drops? Possession, demons, angels that I've talked about for years, being angels, degrees. And we're here talking about hydration and water and possession and demons being genius etymology wise, smart, tied again to wisdom. So is this what it is? Is that a way of controlling us through these, hydras or other entities because of these sea creatures, because it's a sea creature. I mean, come on, we had water anagram into sheep herder. Hydrate contains hydra, also contains a TE, which is tellurium, but also earth for tell us, and also you. Hydrate yourself, hydrate you. Attack you, the hydra attack you. It just blew me away, guys. It really did, and obviously it's on the periodic table, tellurium, isn't it? And it talks about hydra being a chemical bond, and they're telling us on water, and they're saying things like water is not a human right? Is that because it's them? You know, it just gets you think, doesn't it? Because I've talked about water being the power also. Water, what? Turn it around and it goes to matter, mother. You know, it just absolutely blows me away. You know what I mean? And we had the sounds in the ocean. You know, and they're saying, oh, it's just an iceberg, but we don't know what it is for years. Oh, now it's an iceberg. But if you've had these sound things in the ocean for so long, and you know when an iceberg drops, you've heard the sound. So what are these sounds? What are these metallic sounds? Are they something moving in the oceans that they don't want us to know? Is it creatures? Because there's so many species that we've still not discovered today. And it just makes you think, what is in the water? What are they hiding in these entities? I mean, you have the Devil's Triangle, you have the Bermuda Triangle. You know what I mean? And years ago, I did an image of the Bermuda Triangle, Mount Meru in the middle, and the Devil's Triangle, and it makes the same line as the constellation Orion. And I showed you the etymology of Orion in all videos, and atmospheric memory and water memory, and, you know, be like water. Remember Bruce Lee. But think about it now, if water are who controlling us, and he's saying be like them, you know, you got the Abyss video where they control elements of water. You know, 20,000 leagues under the sea, the guy was a deist. And we had the submarine being advanced tech. It just blows my mind, and I'm glad I'm on this journey, and I have people who supporting me by watching me content. But I want to progress the channel. When I get more time and a better computer, I'm going to start doing a lot more, because we need to have a voice out there. You know, there's you guys, but also a career out there who's saying it's okay to be different. It's okay to be believing in this, but something doesn't make sense to you, and you want to add something yourself. That's how I became. Remember, the Black Sheep researcher. I was ostracised in the Flat Earth community for having opinions that went against the grain. But it's funny for all these big flat earthers that people follow that stole all my ideas. And I don't mean every single idea, but you know what I mean? Some of what they come up with, they're all my ideas. And they do it for other things. You know what I mean? And that's what made me give me the impotence. Paul, stop complaining to yourself. Go out there and make a channel. And that's what I did. You know? And I just want everyone to, like, Greg inspired me this week. Last week, it was, see, I've got, you know, I don't want to look on my phone. I do apologize, but people always inspire me, and I always say, you know what I mean? But we do have ideas. We all think along the same lines, because while I've been making this video for weeks, I've saw people on social media posting stuff about water and this, and it's like, I'm doing this, and it's like, it's not me, oh, they've done it first, it's my idea. It's not, we all are collective, we think alike. That's why we're in the same community. You know what I mean? And people think, well, why have you said that about people stealing your ideas? Because they've used my videos in their videos and just put the watermark of it. That's what I've had. I've had a lot of that. And I'm thinking, that looks familiar. And it's fucking hell, I could just see my image. And I've had that many times. And it does make me laugh, to be honest. It's like the bird-faced cheek. But yeah, so we had water, we had hydrate. Tell them the earth, hydrate. You with the hydra. Is that possession? You know what I mean? It just makes you think, doesn't it? And we talk about all these beats of Leviathan. And I'm just getting excited. It just... You heard me in the video getting excited about that water. Showing you that it's sheep herder. And we were put on land. And that's just the thinking, the main thing of this idea. Were we put on land to cultivate the land and give them sacrifices, adrenochrome, etc.? And is that why children are going missing? Because they're being taken down to these depths? Who knows? And look at it, I'm just theorising. I'm putting all my research together to formulate an idea, and then we go from there. We move again. A pack of loos, APKs, applications, Hydra, chemical bond, hydrate. We need to hydrate. You had the she people. You had the tides, deists, talking about God created and left. Where did he go? Did he go back to the oceans? Because that's where a lot of these civilisations talk about the gods came from. Is it the space in the stars, the waters above? Who knows? I mean, you had the flag for Noah on the ships, and it looks like the Philosopher's Stone. It's just intriguing, and that's all I'm here to. I'm here to give myself inspiration from other people giving me inspiration. Hopefully I can give you inspiration. Like, oh, yeah, that was a good video, that Paul, but I really like that bit where you said that, and that rang a bell in my head, and I'll take that on. And there we go, and we progress, and then I'll see the video or I'll see the research and go, wow, they did really progress it. But now that's given me inspiration to use that, and that's what we're all about. That's why I want people to just leave the beefs and get back to making content, because if you can put your effort into making these beef videos, surely you can get back to making content and then getting more momentum behind us. We need momentum. We need to turn the tides. Wow, we need to turn the tides. And how many other stuff in linked with water? So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go now because the thoughts, but hopefully, you saw all the different sounds in the oceans. What is in the oceans? Do you believe in extraterrestrials, or do you believe they live under the oceans, like all these films, Atlantis and Abyss, the Bill Cooper thing? It just makes me think that is there more land outside the ice wall, or is it just that the fact that they're living in the deep oceans and that's where the gateways, the portals are to this place, to these dimensions? Is it all about sound, like I was talking last week in the Epiphany video? Sound above sound on sound. If you had the right frequency, you pass through. And this is the sounds that we hear in the oceans that they don't know what is. You know what I mean? It's just, there's places on Earth. Why are we not investigating the realm, the depths? It's because they're not allowed. That's surely it. Because they've so-called been down to the depths of the Mariana Trench. So why are they not mapping everywhere? And they say they're going to map everywhere by 2030, which is Agenda 30, tying in with all that palaver. So things just don't make sense. You know what I mean? And where does all the information get passed around on the interwebs? It's undersea cables. And that's what ties in then into they're using the Janos. Oh god, for NATO. That just came up in my memories, and I thought, oh my god, the odds of that, because I'm doing the video and I've been for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's just so long. See what you guys think. What do you think? Do you still believe in extraterrestrials? Most people don't believe because they've been told that space doesn't exist. What is space? Is space a sci-fi geek space? Star Trek? Up outside? Is there something outside the dome or the firmament? Are we underground? Are we in the oceans? At 12 I said we was underground. Is that the sea? What's above? Are we just, made this artificial? Are we in a simulation? There's so many things. Is it inner space? Is it under the oceans? Is it under the space ice wall? There's so many things it can be. Is it, and these people came from the oceans according to certain civilizations that taught humans because they wanted we weren't doing as they're told. So that just makes me think. And then the point of this video is we had the anagrams of water being sheep herder, we had anagram of tides being deist or deist, and look at when I read that out, wow, it's most of the United States of America, the founding fathers. Was that the precursor of Scientology? I just don't know. You know what I mean? I'm at early times researching that, but tell you what, it's blown me away, and hopefully I've blown your mind, guys, with some of this knowledge, the anagrams, because this is just a start. And at the start, my head splits as it is, finding that water is sheep herders, so they are sheeping, herding us on land, because land is hydrate sounds a bit Hyboria, is that under the ground? So you got a lot of things. So guys, appreciate the support, guys. Please share it, tell people to check my channel out. There's so many different content videos on here that it'll blow your mind. L11s, atmospheric memory. Obviously, I've got my Janus videos. I've got, you know, there's loads. And we're talking about, you know, Tartaria, and I showed you that a long time ago that it broken down to being Liguria. Mind blower. So guys, stay safe, always wear a smile, and please, if you can support me, just go to the description. You'll find Buy Me Coffee there. I have it on the lowest setting because times are hard for us all, and without you guys I might not even be online. You really do. You really are helping. So I want to just say thank you, and this is the start of a journey on this, and I'll see where we go from this. But like I said, I've done a lot of videos on water already, and it's just, you know, it's painting the picture that could we have been put on land to look after the land. You got the Lites, the followers of L, same as the sheep people, sheep of L. You know what I mean? You are the sheep of my pasture, and I am your God. And that's to 11. Janos, Dagon, all the same entity. Ea, Enki, Ia, God of water. You know, mind blows, God. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I wanted to keep it quite short because, you know, we're now over 2 hours now. So hit the like button. I'll see you in the chat, in the premiere. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And for anyone out there who needs to sleep, hit me on. You got 2 hours sleep here, because some people use me to go to sleep. I don't mind. It's a view. So bye guys, take care, and I'll see you in the premiere. Bye.